If you're looking for a behind-the-scenes insight into music, you've come to the right place. Remember to subscribe to be notified of new content.
In 2016, I started this journey to finding out what goes on behind the music recorded and released by Australian singer-songwriters. I quickly learned of the struggles faced by many in this competitive industry. With the launch of ledofficial.com, I started supporting Aussie talent in promoting their music. It wasn't easy. The only guarantee I could offer my clients was that I would get the word out to media sources about their upcoming release. Some picked up community radio interviews, others gigs in live music venues. Many have told me they feel like a human jukebox when performing live, because the public seem more interested in hearing songs that they know rather than something new. 4 years later, I'm here with an independent insight into what happens behind the scenes.
This is Behind the Music with Ellie D.
Hey, my name is Komorebi, otherwise known as Komo, and I'm a musician and recording artist from Melbourne, Australia. So I've been making music I've been interested in music for pretty much my whole life. I started playing the guitar when I was in early high school, and I've been singing my entire life and writing little raps and stuff. So I guess you could say I've been in the music scene for 10 years, maybe over 10 years. I don't really make anything in any one particular genre, but I think the genre that I gravitate closest to, or what my sound would gravitate closest to, hip-hop, R&B, electronic sort of influences. I also dabble a bit in some hardcore styles and infusing that into, this style of music that I make. So a whole bunch of things. I thought it would be a lot easier. I thought naively that you just put music out and sort of everything else will follow, which in a way is true, but so much goes into making a project outside of just making the music. Having a type of promotion schedule, marketing, trying to generate engagement on social media. I've realized now that those are just as important as actually writing and recording the music. Often theming my content and finding a sort of concrete direction to move in, because there's no real right or wrong way to make content for social media. It needs to be very personalized, and I generally tend to have trouble with sort of putting together a plan for posting content on social media and trying to drive engagement sort of along a theme for any of the projects that I'm working on. So at the moment, we're working on releasing my second EP, The Kids Look Sick, which is a bit of in terms of theming, is a bit macabre, is a bit intense, raw. So trying to find ways to create content that aligns with that theming and that message that I'm trying to put out with any given project. So I'm not incredibly active on my social platforms, but whenever I do have anything to show my audience, to share with them, I generally do that on Instagram. It's working pretty well for me. The hardest thing for me, to be honest, is being consistent on those platforms, because I'm not a person that particularly likes to show things off, or I'm quite introverted like that, and I like to communicate on a one-to-one basis. So social media, it's kind of hard, but I'm learning how to do that. It would be nice to have Australian music perceived as something different than sort of Aussie hip-hop, or Melbourne bounce, or like sort of the indie rock sort of scene. I feel like we're not given credit for being diverse and for being genre breaking and innovative as artists. I also feel like as Australians, and especially sort of millennials, we look up to the UK and the US for our sort of musical and cultural influences, as opposed to trying to create something that's our own, and discovering our own sort of worth as Australian artists without trying to like copy other people and other styles and stuff like that. So I feel like that's something that we struggle with as Australian artists, is being taken seriously on a global scale, as well as in Australia. It's quite hard to get that recognition. So yeah, it would be nice to see more support and more diversity of sound and cultures in Australian music, particularly from the radio stations and community radio. There are some great outlets like SYN, Triple R, many local establishments that do champion local music, but I feel like we need a bit more of a push, a bit more of a voice a bit more support from sort of the Australian listenership in general. I think it would be great to have Australian artists celebrated more, and not sort of taken as an afterthought, next to international music and music from the States and from the UK and Europe and stuff like that. So I feel like that would be nice to get more support from sort of established journalist outlets, if that makes sense. Keep doing what you're doing. It might seem impossible at times, and life can sometimes get in the way, but as long as you have a love for what you're doing and you surround yourself with people who are passionate, just as passionate as you are, you have an opportunity right now in this day and age to build a community and to build your own scene. So get out there, meet people, work with all different types of people, expose yourself to different styles of music and different ways of thinking. And we have an opportunity here in Australia, particularly in Melbourne, to really broaden our horizons and make ourselves as worldly as possible, especially when it comes to music. So put yourself out there is my biggest advice. And you might think that what you're doing now is not great, but practice makes perfect, and consistency is key. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Want more? Check out the Behind the Music with Ellie D podcast, available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.